Hey guys, hope you all had a great week. We are going to, as usual, be looking at the Dixie, the EURUSD, and the GBPUSD weekly forecast. Okay, so be sure to stay tuned to the end. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Okay, so let's get right into it by starting on the weekly time frame as usual. So at this point, we had a break of swing structure on the weekly time frame, and we were able to confirm the pullback when this change of character happened, and we were in the pullback for a while until the liquidation of these lows and an immediate break of internal structure. And since then, we've seen a retest into this weekly demand zone, and we're already seeing some really nice sensitivity here. Okay, so let's go right ahead and scale down to the lower time frame and see what we have. Now on the daily time frame, we broke swing structure at this point. So swing structure is currently bullish. And how were we able to confirm the pullback when we had this change of character here? And the internal structure has been bearish for a while. Now we've tapped into a demand zone. Now this is what I like to call an overlap zone. The reason it's an overlap zone is because it's a demand zone within a higher time frame demand zone. So it's a daily demand zone within a weekly demand zone. And another confluence to the idea that we might switch bullish very soon is the fact that price has tapped into the discount zone. Okay, so far we haven't seen anything yet that might indicate that this pullback is over. Right now we are in a daily supply zone, and as we talked about in the previous video, there is every chance that price could still break this low and find a different zone to then possibly switch bullish. Okay, so right now we are going to let the lower time frames guide us. So let's scale down to the 4 hour and see what we have. Now on the 4 hour time frame, as we talked about in the last two videos, our last break of swing structure was here. So this was our last swing structure point. Okay, this is our strong 4 hour swing high. The reason is a strong 4 hour swing high is that even if price makes it all the way up here, the expectation is for price to then go and break this weak swing low. But then again, remember we talked about how this is a potential liquidity pool and this is a potential liquidity pool. Not because we expect price to break the swing high, but because the overall order flow is bullish, the overall objective is bullish, we might actually see price take this high eventually in order to facilitate the continuation of the bullish price action on the daily time frame. Okay, so the fact that this is a cluster, I don't like my swing highs being clusters. It looks like a liquidity pool. That is simply just a confluence to the idea that we might eventually see price take this high. But before that happens, my advice will always be to respect structure. The expectational order flow is bearish, and until something happens to disprove that, we are bearish on the 4 hour. It's as simple as that. Okay, so GBPUSD. Okay, my favorite pair. Don't ask me why. Okay, maybe you can. Okay, so on the weekly time frame, this was our break of swing structure. After this change of character, we initiated a pullback, and since then, for a while, price was in a pullback until we got into this weekly supply zone, and then we saw a change of character, which was also a break of internal structure on the weekly time frame. Now we're seeing a pullback into the extreme supply zones of this weekly range. Let's call it that. Okay. Currently, we're in a flip zone. Okay, this supply zone is a flip zone. Now, the reason it's a flip zone is because it was the last supply zone that broke demand. Okay, it was the last supply zone that caused a failure of demand. That is why it's the flip zone. And flip zones are usually very high probability. So there's every possibility that even though we're not seeing sensitivity right now, we might eventually see some sensitivity. But at the moment, we're going to let the lower time frames guide us. Okay, just take these out. Switching over to the daily time frame. Let's see what we have. I brought back the notes, guys. I'm very big on notes. Okay, so on the daily time frame, we had a swing break of structure at this point. So currently we're in a daily swing pullback. That is what we saw on the weekly time frame. Okay, now again, we are currently in an overlap zone. We saw some sensitivity, but it's very, very important to note that the daily internal structure is bullish. Okay, this was the last point, internal structure point. So we broke internal structure to the upside at this point. So until this low is taken, the daily internal structure is bullish, which is the clearest indication that we are still in a pullback phase. So until something changes, well, order flow is bullish. It's really that simple. Now, we saw this daily candle pretty much engulf the body of this previous day candle, which is not a good sign when you're looking for sensitivity and signs to take short. This is why we wait for confirmation of price action before we make our moves. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the notes. Daily internal order flow is still bullish. Sorry. ERC tells me we may see PDH taken, perhaps liquidated. Excuse me. Now, ERC stands for extended range candle. This is an extra tip. Okay, an extended range candle is a candle where the body of the candle occupies at least 80% of the full candle size. Okay, so we have to see the body close at about 80% of the full candle size. That is an ERC. Now, what I mean by PDH is previous day high. So we might see this previous day high eventually broken with the kind of momentum we're seeing here, or we might just see liquidated, and then we don't know. Okay, so we're going to learn the lower time frames guide us. Now let's take a quick look at the 4 hour. Sorry. Okay, so on the 4 hour time frame, you see some of these are overlapping. On the 4 hour time frame, this was the last break of swing structure after this liquidation, which was really nice. So currently the swing order flow on the 4 hour is bullish. Okay, now we haven't exactly seen a break of 4 hour internal low, and this is something we talked about in the previous video. We haven't seen a break of the internal low. However, we have seen a change of character here. So we basically seen a mini trend change. So trend change. That's why I've indicated that with the red lines. Okay, so currently this was the last trend change, let's call it that, and we are in this extreme demand zone. Okay, so there's every possibility that we might see price pull back further into this zone, and then we see what price is going to do. We don't know, but currently we're in this 4 hour extreme zone, and so far we haven't seen any real sensitivity. So come the weekly open or the market open, let the lower time frames guide you. Now, I wouldn't advise taking shorts from here because right now it looks low probability, but if you see enough to take short, then absolutely. So let's take a look at some of the notes. Price is currently in extreme supply. Let the lower time frames guide you. Shorts may be low probability. The 4 hour internals is still bullish. However, we've seen some trend changes. Okay, we've seen some trend changes, but the 4-hour internal is still bullish. Okay, so last but not least, the euro US dollar. Let's start from the weekly time frame as usual. So it's pretty much the same price action as on GBPUSD, but some really nice differences. So let's take a look at some of that. This was the break of swing structure. We tapped into this weekly supply zone. We had a break of internal structure at this point. Now we are currently in this weekly supply zone, and it's very interesting because we're seeing some real sensitivity. Really nice. I think we're seeing more sensitivity on the euro US dollar than we are seeing on the GBP USD pair. So scaling down to the daily time frame. Now on the daily time frame, we broke swing structure at this point. Now guys, I want you to take a look at something. This is something I keep reiterating, okay? Because the market is fractal, a lot of times a break of internal structure, this was the break of the weekly internal structure, is a break of swing structure on the lower time frame. All right, and another really interesting thing to know is that a run on the higher time frame is a trend on the lower time frame. But anyway, let's not get into that right now. So currently we are in this overlap zone here, and we have seen a break of internal structure, which is a more encouraging sign for bearish, biases, if I will, bearish ideas. It's a more encouraging sign on the euro US dollar, more encouraging than on the GBP USD. Now let's take a look at the notes. We've seen a change of characters through break of internal low, an early indication the price may be realigning bearish. Now I really like this zone. The reason is because of this liquidation. Again, there are many rules, detailed rules as to why I pick the zones that I do. I don't just pick my zones. Okay, so this is a very nice zone, and we're seeing really nice reaction. Now if we scale down to the 4-hour time frame and take a look at that, what we are going to see is actually really interesting. So our last break of swing structure was at this point. Now we've seen price take this 4-hour low, but we have failed to close below, and what that tells me is that this is a potential liquidation. But how do we confirm that it's a liquidation? I'd like to see this immediate supply zone fail. Okay, so if I see something like this, I'm going to confirm this liquidation, and it's usually a high probability setup to look for longs, even if they're short term, perhaps into a fair value gap or any area of interest, or even the premium zone, just something. Okay, so if that happens, then longs, short-term longs will be high probability. Price has reached below 4-hour strong swing low, however it's failed to close below. No confirmation yet if it's a liquidation. And that's that for that. Thank you so much if you've made it up to this point. Again, please hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, because there are a lot of exciting stuff to come on this channel. Okay, very soon I'm going to be doing a detailed presentation of how I map structure in a mechanical, reproducible, and stress-free way. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, and have an amazing week. Remember, have a peaceful week. No, still not doing that. All right, bye.